Welcome back, welcome back to our viewers on Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates. I think it's the excitement that I am now experiencing because of the interview we are about to have. You know, it's election time. It's literally going down as we speak. We know that Monday 28th is really the day that everyone is looking forward to, you know, but before that, you know, we have the antics, I would say in Tobago terms, the bacchanal, right? But before we get into this, there's a lovely picture that is gracing our screens right now, and I'm giving our viewers the opportunity to send in where they think this lovely view is coming from. All right, and obviously we will mention where this view is coming from at the end of this interview. All right, so take a good look at the picture, you know, carry the live back, carry it forward, whatever you need to do just to have that picture in mind. All right. So this morning we have with us already smiling, already ready to give you all what they came to do. Both former youth parliamentarians, Ms. Jhada Charles and Mr. Ajay Alleyne. Good morning to you both.
Good morning to you, Miss Nancis, and good morning to Jhada as well.
Good morning to you.
All right, so you know we love that sort of what to say, that friendliness that I just saw there, because that's what we want to see, right, going forward. And I'm not going to go too much into that because Jhada has a lot to tell you about that. Ajay has a lot to tell you. I mean, looking at their faces, they're very much excited to address these topics that we have for the incoming elections. So you know that the youths we have, I'm going to say it right now, that we have a very major role to play in the future of our nation, Trinidad and Tobago, and more so, well, presently in the parliamentary elections that are upcoming. Right, so we're seeing that the youths are taking the platforms. They're having a lot of voices on social media, right, Jhada?
Yes,
right.
yes.
You know, so they are present in the spheres that we want to see them in. You know, they're having a voice. And here are our two youths to speak to us today. So I'm just going to ask them to just share a little bit about themselves. Jhada, I'll ask you to go first.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ajay Charles, and I am a proud resident of Tobago and of Tobago East specifically. In my career studies, I have a bachelor's degree in law, and I am currently pursuing my LEC at the Hilding Law School. As she mentioned, we are both youth parliamentarians, so I would have participated in the National Youth Parliament and also represented Trinidad and Tobago regionally in the Regional Youth Parliament. And today we are here to bring a message to the young people and to the people of Tobago of our standpoint and our views based on our political parties and how we can impact and benefit the young people of the island. So today I am here in my capacity as the chairman of the Tobago East Youth League of the People's National Movement. So get ready for an exciting conversation between me and my counterpart here, Ajay.
All right, and Ajay?
Yes, so good morning, Tobago. I am Ajay Alleyne, and I'm currently the Vice Chair of the Tobago People's Party Youth Arm. I'm also a youth parliamentarian, as Jhada would have said, so we'd have gone through the training and understand what it is to be a youth parliamentarian, and we've had that level of experience and training. And I mean, I'm looking forward to having the conversation, sharing a different perspective on how things should go and the importance of youth vote in the upcoming elections.
All right, so both Ajay and Jhada are very much armed and ready to bring that conversation to you, or the answers to my questions this morning to you. All right, so we'll go right into it. Based on the promises, well, we know that the parties, they would have sent out their manifestos, you know, they've been reiterating it over time. Based on the promises and these manifestos that we've seen, where do you see the youths being involved?
Well, from the PNM standpoint, they would have released their manifesto not too long ago, 182 pages, and a lot of it is also focused on Tobago's development and involving the young people in boosting Tobago. So one of their flagship programs is Trinidad and Tobago's Blue Economy, which focuses on Tobago and our ecotourism, our marine sustainability, and our wildlife and that tourism. So I can see job creations there for young people who are interested in doing like coastal engineering, who are interested in modernizing the fishing industry, in the import and export market, in modernizing the coastal resilience, and being a part of, you know, businesses and opportunities that are unique to Tobago, that are unique to ensuring that, you know, persons not only depend on just a THA job, there are other sectors like the private sector that young people could develop and be able to boost. So based on the manifesto, there are also plans to enable the THA to implement youth programs that they would effectively manage. So it gives young people that access in Tobago to have these youth programs readily available to them instead of having to go through Trinidad and all the long waiting. So it centers that youth initiative in Tobago so that young people has a greater access to more opportunities.
All right, Ajay?
Yeah, and I mean, in response to that, it's a good idea. It sounds very good, as we would say. But I believe that the Ministry of Youth Development in Trinidad has been rolling out excellent programs. My question would be, we haven't seen much of those programs migrating to Tobago. So we saw the Youth in Agriculture program, which is YAPA. We saw the yams being planted as well. But I mean, my question would now be, why now at this point I'm in Tobago? And however, even as we speak to private sector development, I think a number of the development in Tobago is heavily THA funded and THA pushed. And we have an issue with the morning work culture in Tobago that affects productivity. I mean, you can't get a loan on a morning job. So I think the TPP's position is not just job creation, but we want to create sustainable jobs, sustainable employment.
Okay.
I mean, I know Jada spoke to the export market, which is something I really, really love. Because there's a number of products produced by Tobagonians that I think deserve to be in Walmart and those types of places.
All right.
So I think what we need to do or do a lot more of is push to have those programs be implemented. I think I would like to see Minister Gopi Schoon being able to expand, and we need to have places like Kariri in Tobago and proper testing labs. And I think we need to build out and improve on the packaging and the marketing of our products as well. And I believe that's what the Tobago People's Party intention is.
Okay.
All right, so if you would just allow me, Ms. Francis, you know, he spoke about some things there, and I don't necessarily agree with what he said. He said that the Ministry of Youth Development and National Services has many opportunities and youth programs that are not being seen in Tobago. But Ajay, I'm sure you would have been participating in the Empower TT program, right? That is something that has been introduced by our lovely Honorable Shamfa Kojo-Lewis in our capacity as the Minister of Sports and Community Development, which seeks to address social issues being faced by young men. There are also the Boss Lady Project, which seeks to empower young ladies, and that has been here in Tobago. Young women have been getting stipends and the opportunities to learn different businesses and, you know, get involved in their entrepreneurial careers. And as he mentioned, the Ministry of Youth Development and National Services, I would say they have been doing an excellent job because there are a lot of opportunities that are available. If you go on the ministry website, you would see an enormous list. I could say STEP, they talk web design. I could talk about YAP, as he said, that agricultural homestead initiative. Tobago has a lot of land ready to be developed, and the ministry provides that access for young people to be able to develop in terms of our agro-processing, especially in Tobago. We have programs such as GATE, such as the health program that Tobagonians are benefiting from every single day. There are persons moving from secondary to tertiary that are utilizing these programs. And I think it's unfair to say that it's not available in Tobago because as a Tobagonian, and many Tobagonians that I know access these programs to develop themselves. I want to also talk about the Bridging Success program by the Ministry of Youth Development and National Services. This is a program for persons in secondary school who would not have gotten the requisite secondary school subjects, and the government has partnered with the University of Trinidad and Tobago to provide that bridge, that conduit, so that persons could develop themselves intellectually and be able to participate tertiary. So
before Jada is going very strong on that point, yeah. But I'm coming from the perspective of I scroll through social media. You know, the young people. That's where they voice their opinions, etc. Right. So I heard you mention a few things. You know, the youth programs that are being brought forward. The fact that there are a lot of lands in Tobago that are made accessible by the ministries, so that we can access it as youths to develop our businesses, etc., etc.
Right.
But from social media standpoint, I'm speaking on people who have tried and have failed at getting these things. I think Ajay would have mentioned earlier as well, not being able to get that loan to access these things, because obviously there is paperwork that you will have to present to have access on these things. So my question to you is, going forward, very strong point, but is there a change in strategy that you all would have to bring forward so that these things are presented to the youth so that they know it's accessible and how they go forward getting access to it?
Right. So I would say that because Tobago is a rural community and as we are also separated from Trinidad, I think that the approach could be that persons in Tobago can have that opportunity to get these programs readily accessible to them. So if there is like a branch in Tobago that specifically caters to to these programs being here, I think that would be of great help. But the information is there, the opportunities are there. Tobagonians are not lacking in terms of that aspect of it. If it just takes a simple search on Google, Ministry of, or on Facebook, on social media. We use social media. The programs have been advertised all the time. It is there. It has been used. It is being utilized. So I guess if it is the one person to just come out and continue spreading the messages, then we could have it marketed much more on a larger scale in that aspect.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, Jada make mention of a number of things, but I just have one question, and probably Jada may not or may be able to supply us with the answer. But as it pertains to a number of these programs, I would like to see some data, some statistics on the programs in terms of how many persons graduated out of the programs, where are they now, how many of them. And I'm not saying it didn't happen, Jada. I'm not saying that it hasn't worked, but I'm just asking to see the data on it and to see how many of them have translated into actual business, into employment, and so on. And she also make mention of having that distance between water as well. And I think it's something as Tobagoans we all can agree that it complicates a lot of the scenarios. And I also believe that politicians in a lot of times receive blame for things that they're not directly responsible for. And a lot of Tobagoans need to understand that. So there's a difference between an MP or a member of parliament or a minister and a permanent secretary.
Okay.
There's a difference between a secretary in some occasions and an administrator. So the MP might have very good ideas, very good implementation, but possibly the permanent secretary may not be too much in favor of it. Or he may go past the permanent secretary and go down to the director of youth, who might decide this program is not valid at this point. So it's not necessarily the minister or the political organization sometimes to carry some of the blame for the lack of implementation or for the bureaucracy in the process, but sometimes it's the public servants. And I think as Tobagoans or as citizens, sometimes we need to take personal responsibility for ourselves, and we need to take personal responsibility for some of these programs as well. Because if it's available, it's accessing persons are getting treated. Why not ask a question? You may meet a blockage or a problem at one point. Why not see it as a stepping stone to build and to grow and to learn the process so you can help someone else?
Speaking on processes that people should be very much aware of, especially the youths of today. My question, from your perspective, do you think that youth see the importance of casting their vote?
No.
Definitely not. Definitely not. And I want to use this opportunity as an appeal to young people. You have a right to vote. It is your civic duty. As young people, we need to champion this fight as the upcoming generation, as the future generation. We need to ensure that we are taking control of our lives and not allowing persons to take control of our lives for us. Every election, you need to go out there, you need to vote, because you're not voting just for a political party, you're voting for yourself. You're voting for a future that you have to live in, a Tobago you have to live in, a Trinidad and Tobago you have to live in. This is also going to determine how our country develops, not only in the Caribbean and regionally, but on an international standpoint. So we have to make that decision for ourselves of which party we want to align with based on their views, based on their policies. Which one do you think is the best one for you? I'm a little biased because I would always preach the PNM philosophy, because I am proud to say I'm a product of PNM policies and programs that have worked and that has continued to work. And there is no young person that can say they have not benefited from a PNM program or policy. So I think that we need to ensure that we go out there every election day, we pick up ourselves and we go and vote. Even if you're vexed with this one in power, you're vexed with that one in power, it is your right. Go out there and exercise it.
Okay, I've been a fly on the wall to certain conversations. Now, you both said that youth actually don't know the importance of casting their vote. So could you share with us some of the benefits that a youth will face
Yeah,
should they cast their votes?
I would always encourage persons to participate in the election. I've had the ability to work in different capacities through the electoral process from all different angles. And I would always encourage persons, you see, when you understand the process to get the right to vote, when you spend time reading and understanding the battles and to see where we came from and to see where we moved from having colonial masters make decisions for us, to now having the ability to participate, when you see the movement of women being allowed to vote and participate in the decision-making process, I think we need to honor those persons by participating. One, two, I'm of a philosophy, and I might be wrong, persons may challenge it, but persons who don't participate in the election, I think they should have no say at all in the governance of the country for the next few years. So you are a keyboard warrior for the past 4 years for whichever political organization you are. And we don't see you directing anything on election day. I mean, I think that's just being, you just have mouth or you're a dog with no bite. So I think we need to actively participate in it. We need to realize that the decisions made by our leaders today, we will have to treat with it. I mean, we are treating with the decisions made by past administrations. Some of us, we didn't dream to born yet. I mean, we weren't even sperms in our fathers at that point in time, but we now have to treat with the decisions taken by leaders there. So if we say we do business, but we want a government work, but we don't want to go out and participate and vote. We want foreign exchange, but we don't want to go out and vote. I mean, we want to shop down Shein, Amazon, Team, we know the whole host of stuff. But we don't want to participate in a process which determines how foreign exchange will come or go out of the country. So I think we need to understand that voting affects us in every single way. Politics affects us whether we like it or not. Whether it's no grub, whether it's determining what comes for school feeding, whether it determines whether we have Scarborough still falling into the sea, or we have the most modern Scarborough we've ever seen. I mean, some of these things, it may seem simple and small, but it has serious implications.
From your perspective as youths, what are some of the things that the parties can strengthen? Let's say the party coming into governance. What are some of the areas that they could strengthen to boost the confidence in a youth in them to actually bring forward these programs so that the youths could benefit? Because again, referencing social media. Now, you said there are a lot of keyboard warriors, and for whatever reason, that's where they choose to vent and carry on themselves, right? So we're talking about those who say that there's a rise in crime, and the majority of young people are choosing the gangs over finding proper jobs in the governmental space, right? So what are some of the strategies that you could change from a youthful perspective from those parties so that youths can see the benefits of voting, of actually going in and applying for a job and choosing that over what they've chosen?
Well, I would always commend the People's National Movement for having a youth league established in their constitution, because they ensure that the young people from a young age, from as early as 12 to 35, the age you consider as a youth, is implemented in the party structure. They know about politics, they know about advocacy, they know about voting, the importance of voting, and they also give the youth leagues that mandate to spread that message to other young persons in nationally or whether it's by constituency. So young people are the ones taking the charge to give the youth message and encourage other young people. Because sometimes when young people care, you come to them, they're thinking, you just want my vote. How I'm going to benefit from this? And they don't really listen to a candidate because they're thinking they're just trying to buy a vote. But with the youth leagues, the young persons are encouraging them, they are educating them and letting them know, hey, you can be involved in political parties, you can be involved in government roles, you can be involved in THA positions in this way from a leadership perspective. Educate yourself, gain more knowledge, and establish yourself in that way. And I feel that introducing that into the communities, it leads people away from crime and violence because they see that they can achieve more and aspire for more, being a part of institutionalized principles and programs that are able to directly benefit them by supporting a specific political party.
All right.
You see, I believe in showing persons where the money is, or showing individuals how to make money. And I think once we show young persons where you have the ability to make a lot of money, even more than from a criminal perspective, they would gravitate towards it. Because let's look at marijuana. And I have had the pleasure of having youth parliamentary colleagues that debated the issue of medical marijuana a couple years ago. And a few years after, we saw where it actually became legislation, it was discussed at the parliament and so on. And I remember speaking...
talk as well that there is more money in crime. So we're looking at that as well.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up.
That has been said by a lot of youths. There is more money in crime.
No, but that's the reality, let's face it.
Okay.
Because, and I remember interacting with one of them and they were saying that there were some holes in the legislation. I remember at the end of that debate, I received a call from a friend of mine. And he's asking, how am I to register? How can I be a legal marijuana farmer? What is the process? I mean, who I have to go to? How much funds I need to start up? And he was asking these types of questions. But when I listened to the debate on the parliament, when I checked the legislation, I'm like, I still felt lost as an individual. So how am I to register? So it's decriminalized, I agree. But medical marijuana is a massive industry.
Okay.
And these guys, they are already farming it illegally. So why not create avenues for them in a legal format? We've seen it coming through in the music industry, where it's used, it's heavily sung about. So why not we create avenues and show them this is the correct direction to go? Film is another industry that we have completely left out. I often tell people we waste good bacchanal in Tobago. Netflix has nothing on a good Tobago series where you say a nice, where we sit down, we talk and we enjoy. I mean, we have It Cut EID Cut there that does animation. We wasting excellent talent. Jared Prime and T-Pac put on some excellent productions. And we know Tobagonians could give a good piece of drama. We could tell our story. I mean, the Emmys, the Grammys, them ain't get nothing on our sir. When are we going to our Tobago mode? And now we begin for perform, give them. So I think if we show these types of avenues and we create these spaces for young persons, they're going to leave crime alone because they won't have no money.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about, well, you mentioned that as Trinidad and Tobago, we have a good bit of drama and a good bit of bacchanal, right? Right? Yes, Jada. All right. So how do we, as Trinidad and Tobagonians, though we may be different parties as we're seeing represented here, how do we work together to achieve the goals that would benefit our country all entirely? Because I mean, again, social media. We're scrolling through day by day. We're seeing who jumping up in places they're not supposed to jump up, who calling people name whenever be the case. And, you know, they just literally looking for the drama within something that is supposed to look into a positive light. How do we as Trinbagonian youths, foster this environment of togetherness so that we can better our country on a whole?
All right, so I would like to say that for me, it starts at the top. Because our leaders have to set the example.
Okay.
They cannot be bickering and quarreling amongst themselves and then expect that their supporters are not going to do the same.
Okay.
So I believe that political leaders, persons in positions where they are being seen and they are in the public view, they need to be speaking to each other. Even though we have differences, you always speak to each other in a way that fosters communication, in a way that fosters that unity, regardless of who going against who. At the end of the day, you are vying to develop the entire nation. You are vying to develop the entire island. So it should not always be I against this person or spreading a message of hate or negativity, because after Monday, you have to go and see this person again in the street. Are you going to treat them with that same level of hostility during election time? They have to call this season silly season because it is really silly. You see
really
persons bringing out their true selves. We are seeing the negativity being shown to persons who are out of age, who are supposed to be our elders, who are we supposed to look up to and be inspired by. And it's really setting a negative taste in the mouth of our young people looking on who may be aspiring to get into politics or get into advocacy. Because when we see that this is the example being set by our leaders, all we are saying that is our nation is going to go down the wrong path. And we do not want to follow into that footstep. So it starts with us. It starts with our leaders to spread that message of love and unity, because at the end of the day, we are one Tobago, we are one nation. So we need to remember at the end of the day, that should be the focus. Regardless if you're TPP, PNM, PDP, UNC, whatever you want to be, the focus is our country, Trinidad and Tobago, and moving forward to better and develop for everyone who's living here.
Okay, so I'm going to throw in this question as a youth. So speaking to the leaders, because you say it starts at the top and then we have to take the example. But we've seen over the past few years, now I don't want to form that connection between, well, not connection per se, but I don't want to mix up the THA and the parliamentary elections, right? We want to differentiate the fact that we're in parliamentary elections right now. So how do we, what advice would you have to the leaders, the ministers, the secretaries, Ajay, the people at the top, Jada? Yeah? What advice would you give to them to have a better togetherness spirit, if so to speak? Because we're seeing a constant fight for certain things that should be worked together as two parties coming together to make one decision for the betterment of our island or of the country? What advice do you give to them?
I think firstly we need to go back to how the Tobago House of Assembly Act was formed. Because I took the privilege of reading through some of the parliamentary book and Hansard and some of those stories. And just to have what we have now, there were compromises made. This is not originally what Mr. Robinson had wanted.
Okay.
When we look at the shape of the horseshoe in the Tobago House of Assembly, it's a friendship, it's a good relationship. From time to time we would see Minority Leader Morris and Chief Augustine having cordial, casual conversations. I mean, Jada and I could speak to that sometimes. When you go into the tea room at Parliament, when we have special sittings, you would see all of them drinking, knocking glass together, and you'd be like, but
They
you
would
be out
just,
here fighting one another,
yeah.
and then this is what's taking place. So we need to realize that in spite of all of the political banter, we are Tobagonians first. Jada is my sister first. If anybody harms her, I'm not going to allow it to happen.
Okay.
Because I see her as my sister, I see her as my relative. Everybody in Tobago is family, that is the reality. So we need to go back to our core Tobagonian principles, all are we is one family, and let's start from there. We may disagree on policy, we may disagree on political ideologies, that's okay. It's all a part of the process, it's a part of democracy. But what we need to do now is focus on policy and not personality.
Okay.
I would also like to add in terms of as you said, this is a parliamentary fight that we're in right now. And as political parties that are trying to become elected members of parliament, regardless of which party got you into the seat in the House, at the end of the day, when you are in that seat, you are championing for all of Trinidad and Tobago. And what we see a lot of the times is the opposition and the government having disagreements. They are not collaborating on effective bills and motions that are going to benefit us nationally, and in some areas, bills that are specific to certain areas, such as Tobago. I would say the Tobago Island Government Bill, we saw what happened there in terms of the opposition and the government disagreeing. So I feel like in terms of other motions like that and bills like that that will benefit persons, we need to have that collaboration and not trying to go from a political standpoint, because when you're in the House, it's not political. You are representing the Trinidad and Tobago, you're representing persons, you're representing the citizens. So I think that our members of parliament need to get back to remembering what the focus is when they get elected. It's not about what I could do to hinder this one that they don't get re-elected. That should not be the focus over the 5 years. The focus should always be collaboration and the development of our nation.
All right.
You see, I would like to jump in on a number of issues there.
Okay.
And I mean, my learned colleague has done an excellent job in terms of explaining some of the issues. But I would like to disagree as it pertains to the Tobago Island government and those two bills. Because I took the time to go to the consultation that was held up at Assembly Legislature in the tea room, to be specific. And I remember that there's a particular phrase in the Tobago House of Assembly Act, which is item number 25. Which basically says ultimate direction and control. I won't be able to find it now because of the interest of time. And it basically allows Parliament or the Cabinet to overturn decisions made by the Tobago House of Assembly. It has not been practiced. However, I remember speaking to the board, I sat next to Mr. Nizam Mohammed, to be specific. And I remember telling Mr. Mohammed that that piece of legislation should change to reflect after a conversation with the Tobago House of Assembly. Because I'm not just seeing the Tobago People's Party administration. I am seeing possibly, I don't know, don't quote me, a different administration in Trinidad and a Tobago House of Assembly in Tobago. And if you look at our history politically, it has always been a loggerheads when we have two different political organizations in central government and in the Tobago House of Assembly. And we have also practiced the wrong type of governance for so long that it almost seems normal. So remember, the Tobago People's Party is a new administration, it's something fresh. I mean, yes, we know there's a new chapter coming on the other side, and we wait to see how that would unfold. But however, if you have a foundation, when you read a book and you read the introduction of that document, and you see the foundation already being set, it's very hard to deviate from it. So but when you are writing a new book, you have the ability to set a proper foundation. You have the ability to ensure that it's set up properly.
One thing. I just had to say one thing.
Ajay and Jhada, you know. Ajay mentioned in the essence of time, but this is, to me, this is where the heat started turning up. Because while Ajay is giving his point, Jhada is just here ready with the rebuttal.
I just want to say one thing. So Ajay mentioned that the bills give the cabinet the opportunity to overthrow, but at the end of the day, the bills did not seek to give Tobago independence. it is a greater autonomy. At the end
So
of the
we're
day,
taking these
at the
points.
end of the day, central government is responsible for Trinidad and Tobago. Tobago is not separated from Trinidad. That was not the purpose of the bills. It was to give us more powers to administer our services here. It is not a situation where we go in and let cabinet be directly independent from decision making and legislative making. We are still under central government. We are still a republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and that is what the main focus is about. So I do not want that misinformation to be spread out there.
All right. So thank you so much, Jada, for that clarity. I know we have a lot to look forward to in the future between Ajay Alleyne and Jada Charles, based on this here conversation, based on a forward for Tobago, a forward for Trinidad and Tobago on a whole. Right. This is something that we definitely will have to revisit. Ajay was just turning pages in that book. Jada was already steaming with those points, and we don't want to miss it, right? So obviously we'd like to have them back, but in the essence of time, we'll have to bring the interview down to a close, right? I just want to stress on the fact that what we actually finished off on was the togetherness that we're trying to foster during this election season, right? We're seeing a lot of unfortunate events happening during the election season, and we want to just, stay away from that type of vibe. Let's just see the betterment for Trinidad and Tobago. Let's just see the benefit for Tobago on a whole, the youths coming forward. All right. So love the fact that we finished on togetherness, Ajay and Jada. All right. And to bring our minds to an ease and bring us down to the end of our youth show, I just want to bring across our photo of the day once again. Miss Susan James, I want to just big up you for getting that answer correct. It is the Charlottesville jetty. Very, very beautiful there in the sunlight, glowing, that sea, that sun that you can take part in if you venture to Charlottesville. All right. So thank you, Jason and Nicholas, I think, for submitting that photo of the day to us. So now I would encourage you all, whenever you're going up to Charlottesville, walk with your sunscreen. I'm currently suffering from a sunburn that I recently had, right? But it is a beautiful place to visit. And once again, thank you, Jason and Nicholas, for that picturesque picture of Charlottesville's jetty. All right. Ajay and Jada, back to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates. It's always a pleasure having you all here. Based on how what happened after our togetherness conversation, we know that the both of you are very much willing to come back and have a discussion on that topic specifically.
Of course.
All right. So viewers, thank you so much for joining us here on Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates. Before I go, I just want to encourage you to share the live, share the live, share the live. Up next, we have Good Morning Tobago with Miss Candice Jackson.